Chapter 29. Over the weekend, as Mr. Cooper insisted on arranging a meeting between us and the vacation resorts people to consider their offer before we turned it down, I poured my frustrations onto paper. It's like Lupe doesn't care about our motel anymore. All she cares about is college, which isn't for like a gazillion years. What about the people who needed her right now? That's realer than anything in a textbook. If our motel gets sold, what's going to happen to all the weeklies? To all the immigrants who rely on our How to Succeed in America classes? They are real people with real problems who need her. The thing that hurts the most, it's like all of a sudden she thinks she's outgrown me, the motel or something. My editor loved that one. He called me after school that week to gush about it. That is exactly what I wanted, the drama, the tension. I was glad he found my life blowing up so entertaining that made one of us. I put the phone back as the front doorbell rang. I pressed the buzzer, expecting to greet a customer. Now that Hank had arranged more cars to be in our lot, some people were starting to trickle in again, but it wasn't a customer. It was Mrs. Davis. Mrs. Davis, I exclaimed, letting her in. I quickly phoned my dad in the laundry room and called out to Hank, who was cleaning the pool. Dad ran over and took off his plastic cleaning gloves, giving Mrs. Davis a big hug. "You're back," he exclaimed. He rubbed his eyes with the back of his hand, trying to contain his emotions. "When you came over this morning and said how much trouble the Kelly Vista was in, I just knew I had to help," Mrs. Davis said. "But what about the band?" I asked. "I quit the agency," Mrs. Davis announced. "It wasn't working out anyway. You wouldn't believe how hard they worked us over there at the Magna. We had to clean each room in less than 7 minutes." Hank's eyebrows shot up. It usually took my parents 45 minutes to clean each room. My dad, a former geneticist, still cleaned like a scientist. "Management didn't care how dirty anything was," Mrs. Davis explained. She lowered her voice as if they could hear us. "Sometimes, when things got really busy, they told us to skip the vacuuming and just rinse the bathtubs, not scrub them." Dad flinched. "You're kidding! You guys just skip the vacuuming?" "He spends so much of his time vacuuming." Mrs. Davis nodded. "That's not even the worst of it. They had these motion detectors in the room when we were cleaning. It would stop. If we stopped to rest even for a few minutes, our pay would be docked." "That's outrageous," I said. It filled me with such anger that the Magna had such little respect for the staff. Poor Mrs. Davis. "Unbelievable," Hank said. "So I told the agency I quit," Mrs. Davis said. "I'd much rather work for a place that treats staff with compassion." "You always have a job with us," Dad said, putting a hand on her shoulder. "You don't know how hard it's been trying to clean all the room by myself." "Well, now you have me," Mrs. Davis said. "I won't let you down, partner."